Steve Hansen. Been in the industry for 26 years or so, and retired now working at Coconino Community College, where I teach HVAC, electrical, and plumbing. So you've touched on a good part of those already with a lot. The heat loss absolutely has to be done. Consideration, well, the heat loss first, then the selection of the equipment, make sure that it's going to perform adequately. If you can't get a large enough piece of equipment, sometimes we, specifically in the older structures where we have poor insulation, we have to look at a second unit to gain enough heat input from the heat pump. And if we can't do that, then we have to decide whether the homeowner wants to heat part of the building or all of the building, and if they're happy on it. So all of that is a discussion that needs to be had with the project manager, the homeowner, the general, whomever is involved in the process, so that at the end of the process, they get it and they're happy and they're comfortable, as opposed to, why did I spend all that money and it doesn't really work very well? So we want to make sure that that communication remains open. But it's very important. First, that's the first step. Understand the equation, go through the whole process, figure out what they want, and come up with the right solution for the equipment and that. Now, installing it, yes, the manufacturer's got all kind of different information out there that says we can do it with, so there's a line set between the indoor and the outdoor unit, copper lines that run the refrigerant back and forth. So some manufacturers are very specific about length, shortness, elevation, all that stuff. So all of that has to be maintained and looked at. And the manufacturers to this point are going, we don't want a bad reputation. So they are more and more technical and more assisting the contractor and the installer to make sure that they get the proper installation. So the industry doesn't give the black eye to the equipment, but it worked properly. So all of that has to come into play. Now, because it snows here, yes, it does. It snows here occasionally. So we want to elevate the outdoor unit so that it doesn't get buried in the snow, because in the wintertime in the heat pump mode, we're attempting to pick up heat from the outdoor section. If we can't pick up the heat because the thing's buried and we have no airflow because it's buried by the snow, it's not going to work very well. So we want to elevate it a specific amount. Most manufacturers recommend 18 inches, 12 to 18 inches. Some of them will go higher than that. Now, they also suggest a crankcase heater. Not to get technical, but the compressor is, quote, where the crankcase is, and we want to keep that warm in the wintertime. So when the temperatures drop, the crankcase heater comes on and keeps that warmer so the refrigerant will flow properly. Because if that doesn't happen, the unit will sense that the outdoor unit's too cold, and before it will freeze, it will go, wait a minute, and it changes the direction or flow of the refrigerant, and it starts trying to gain heat from the inside of the building and warm up the outdoor unit, which means it turned on the air conditioning. And when you're walking around the house going, what's going on? And you put your hand over the register and it's blowing cold air. Most people aren't that excited about that particular process. So we want to get a crankcase heater in there too. So those are some of the things. Consider too the snow where it's going to come off the roof. So if you're on a downhill side of a roof and it's going to bury it, we probably want to put some kind of a cover over top of it. Now, I put one in my house. I didn't think about it, right? Mine got buried in the snow, and it sounded like a helicopter trying to take off the side of my building in the middle of winter and about 2 o'clock in the morning. It's great, because all the ice had developed on the condenser fan, and it started throwing that around. So I built a cover over it, and now it doesn't do that anymore. So again, it's things we don't think about, but we need to, because it's not an air conditioning condenser. That's a whole different approach than heat pumps.